Hey everyone, so for today's video I wanted to do another hair tutorial. I thought it'd be fun to do a bit of a twist on the normal fishtail. So I've done a double stacked fishtail braid, but I've made the back one a bit messier. There are two ways you could do this. You could just split your hair in half and just do two separate fishtail braids and then stack them on top of each other and use some pins to pin them together so they stay together. But I have seen people do this on YouTube where you can actually do the two braids at the same time. So they are stuck together already. And it's just a bit quicker and I think it looks pretty cool. I like the fact that it's a bit messy, especially for springtime. Anytime I sort of think of spring hairstyles, I always think of stuff that's a bit messy. Already pretty confident with fishtails, then I think this will be really easy for you. If you've never done a fishtail before, then I think you should definitely give this a go because it's not too difficult. Once you get where the hair's got to go, then it's a bit easier to do. It's just initially when you start it off, because it's quite loose, it's a bit fiddly, but once you get the rhythm going and you're sort of maybe a quarter of the way down, it does tend to get a lot more easy. So if you want to find out how to do this double stacked fishtail braid, then please keep watching. To start off this hairstyle, you just want to bring all your hair to one side. If you want to pull out any bits, I'd do that now just because it's a lot easier to do now than after. And you can also obviously curl this if you wanted to after. I'm just going to bring all this round and I'm going to take a bobble and just secure this all in place. I'd use a bobble that you don't mind cutting because when I'm finished I'm going to cut mine out. You can obviously pull it out, but I just find that it looks a lot neater when you haven't tugged on the whole braid. So the first thing that you want to do is start off like you would a normal fishtail braid. So you want to split this in half. Make sure they're as even as possible. So when you do a normal fishtail braid, you get a piece, quite a small piece, and you either put it over to the other side or under to the other side, and then you get your regular fishtail braid. But instead of doing that, what we're going to do is we're going to take a section from the side, still fairly small, split this in half, and put my finger and my thumb between. Grab the section of hair I just took the small piece of hair from, and then bring these two bits over to the other side. You want to hold that fairly tight. So again, I'm going to take a small section of hair from this piece, like that. I'm going to split this in half. I'm going to grab the section I just took the hair from and add these two pieces to the other side. And pull it fairly tight. Take a bit of hair again. Split it in half. Grab the section. Add it to the other side and pull it nice and tight. I'd keep a sort of brush or a comb handy just so you can keep brushing through because it makes it a lot easier to manage when you do it like that. So I'm just going to keep going, grabbing a section, splitting it in half, and then adding it to the other side. So basically what you're doing is you're doing two fishtails at the same time. You're doing one at the front and one at the back, and then that's how you get the stacked effect. But what it actually does at first is it creates like a boxed fishtail braid. When you start pulling the back one apart, that's when they start to look like they're stacked on top of each other. So I'm just going to continue doing this all down my hair. I'm going to try and keep it as neat as possible because even though we are going to be messing up the back one, I like the front one to stay fairly neat. So I'm just going to continue doing this all down my hair. You want to grab a small section, split it in half. Grab the section you just took hair from and add these two pieces to the other side and pull it nice and tight. This does take a while to do if you're doing small sections like I am. So if you want it to be a bit quicker, just take bigger sections and it will be done a lot quicker. So you'll probably find that you'll be left with a fair amount of hair when it gets difficult to keep doing the braid because of holding the pieces apart and adding them to the other section. So what I normally do is when I get about a couple of inches of hair, I take an elastic and I secure it in place, and then I'll just pull the elastic down a bit just so you haven't got as much hair left at the bottom. So when you finish doing all your hair, this is what you're left with. So it sort of gives you like a boxed fishtail effect. So you've got one fishtail at the front which I can grab and one at the back. So these are the two separate ones. So as you can see, the front ones lay in here, and then if I turn it around completely, you've got another one at the back. This one, the one at the back, is the one that we're gonna pull. You could leave it like this. I think it looks pretty cool like this actually, but I wanted to show you how you could create the stacked effect. So what you want to do, there's a couple of ways you could do this. You could turn the braid around and just start pulling at the pieces on the back braid, or you can see the pieces up here going along the side, so you could pull at them. Personally, I think if you turn it around and start pulling at it, it makes it a bit easier. But what I do I just pull it a little bit at a time. You can always go back and pull more, but if you start to pull too much, then you can't add the hair back in very easily. I'm just gently pulling at each individual loop, just a little bit. And if you keep hold of the elastic, if you use the elastic as well, it's a little bit more slippery. It just stops you from pulling out too much, and it makes it a bit easier to get it out. You can make this as big and as messy as you want. The thing that I love about this hairstyle is it sort of falls throughout the day, but it still stays in place, so I don't find that it gets too messy. So if I was going out on a night out or something like that, I would happily wear this hairstyle and not worry about it all falling out throughout the night and looking an absolute mess. As I get up towards the top, I do tend to pull a little bit more, just because I like the top of my braids to look quite fluffy, and then towards the bottom I like them to look a little bit tighter. And then what you can do is, once you've pulled them all out, just turn it around, grab the back one and just fluff it out a bit. And I'm just going to get rid of this wobble now, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull it between two fingers and just cut it. And it just helps to loosen up the braid a bit more. And then if you've got bits at the back here that are hanging a bit too loose, then you can always just take some hair pins and just pin these back. But again, I personally like the fact that it's a bit messy, so I'm not bothered if bits at the back of my head are falling out throughout the day. That just tidies up that bit, then you can just keep pulling. And if you were going on a night out, or even if you were going to a wedding or something like that, I think it looked really pretty with some sort of flowers in, or you could even put some gems down the fishtail. So this is the effect you get. As you can see the front one, which has stayed pretty neat, and then you've got this back one, which just adds a bit of texture to the back of the braid. And as I said, you could pull it out as much or as little as you want. If you've got fairly thick hair and fairly long hair, you could pull this bit out loads and have a really big fluffy braid. Or even if you wanted to add in some hair extensions, you could make it even thicker. And then if you wanted to, like I said, you could curl this bit. You could even braid up down here and then do the fishtail if you wanted to do that. I just like it like this, it just makes it look a little bit more simplistic. So this is the finished look. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If there's any more hair tutorials you want me to do, then just be sure to leave them in the comments down below. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.